Welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
With their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns.
Yeah. That's one of Jank's favorite ladies ever who sang that song, Zombie.
That's right.
Yeah.
My beloved Dolores O'Riordan.
Yeah. But, so today for Shocktober, we're reading Tales of the Zombie, issue 5 from 1974. And this is a black and white horror anthology from, it's Marvel, but, it's like Curtis magazine or whatever. And, all kinds
of magazine format, I think, right?
Yeah. And the reason why it was a magazine format is because they didn't have to adhere to the comic book code or the comics code.
Yep.
So that means they could show partial nudity, have some profanity mixed in there, and graphic violence. So,
yeah. Weren't they technically not even able to use the word zombie during the comics code era?
that is correct.
Somehow? Yeah.
Yeah, they could not even refer to zombies. What did they have to refer to them as? Because remember Brother Voodoo? He did a storyline where there were zombies coming up. They couldn't call them zombies. I think it was with an L or something.
Lombies or something like that.
No, not lombies, but they couldn't call them zombies. They had to come up with something.
It was like when they had the Magia instead of the Mafia.
Yeah. All right, but hey, before we get into the actual book, let's remind everybody, if you're listening to us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're up to 110 subscribers, Jank. We rallied.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, we're moving forward. And hey, I just discovered this. I think we only need to get 500 subscribers before we can monetize.
Oh, shit.
Yes, that cuts it in half.
Within firing distance, yeah. That cuts 10 years off.
Yep. So, we just need,
covered every single Bronze Age book by then.
390 more to go, and we're there. So come on, Flea Army, let's rally. But thanks to everyone who's supporting us. We appreciate it. And all right, so Tales of the Zombie, last week we talked about this. You never read any of these, obviously, right?
Nope, never did.
Yeah.
I've never seen pictures of this guy.
Yes.
I can't remember if I ever read any stories with him in it, but...
Yeah, when I was growing up, you would see this guy, the character's name is Simon Garth, and he just looks like a zombie. And you would see this fella, but I never really read any books with him. Like you'd see him in advertisements and stuff.
Yeah. I know I had this big, official, not the official handbook, but this big Marvel Universe book, like a hardcover book that I got sometime in the 90s. And there's definitely an entry on him in there, I remember. Yeah,
so Tales of the Zombie, it was published quarterly, and it ran for 10 issues and one super annual between 1973 and 1975. It was published under the label Marvel Monster Group alongside the similar magazine formats Dracula Lives, Monsters Unleashed, and Vampire Tales. But this zombie character, Simon Garth, he originally appeared in Atlas Comics' Menace, issue 5 in 1953 by Stan Lee and Bill Everett. But Roy Thomas, again, it's Roy Thomas doing everything, he remembered the character and he brought it back and reworked it with Steve Gerber, so he would be the main character in this magazine. And Steve Gerber and Roy Thomas wrote the first issue together, and then Steve Gerber wrote the remaining issues of the series there. And John B. Buscema and Tom Palmer did the art on issue 1, but then Pablo Marcos did the art for the remaining issues. And that's the creative team here today, Steve Gerber and Pablo Marcos.
I don't know much about Pablo Marcos, but I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a minute here. And the zombie character appeared in only the first 9 issues. Brother Voodoo anchored issue 10.
Oh.
And the super annual was all reprinted materials from the previous issues. After the Tales of the Zombie ended, Simon Garth next appeared in Bizarre Adventures issue 33 in 1982. He didn't show up again until Daredevil Annual 9, 1993.
Oh.
And he's made a handful of other appearances since then, including in a Spider-Man annual or something. So.
Oh, yeah. I think I have that one too, but I also didn't read that one.
Yeah, you have it, but just didn't read it. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so this Simon Garth character, he was born in Alabama and he was a work-obsessed executive for Garth Manor Coffee in New Orleans, Louisiana.
They cover that extensively in this here issue.
It's an unusual backstory. But he was kind of a jerk. He was like real work-obsessed, you know? So his marriage fell apart, and he divorced his wife, I guess. But they had a daughter, a 23-year-old, very attractively blonde daughter that comes into play later. So he lived with the daughter in his little mansion there, but he was very, very protective of her. All right, very protective. He didn't even like her hanging out with hippie friends. You know?
Who would?
I don't want you hanging out with your hippie
Take
friends.
a shower once in a while.
And even though she's 23, you know, she's living under his roof, I guess, so she adheres to what he says. But, because I went back and read issue 1 to get all this backstory. So, it's some interesting stuff coming in here. So, this Simon Garth, he was kind of a jerk. He had this gardener guy named Gyps. Now, I don't know if that's his real name or if it's kind of a slur. He's a gypsy. He calls him Gyps. I don't know. But, Simon Garth was kind of mean to him. And he said, you better have those shrubs pruned properly before I get home or you're fired. You know, one of them deals. And so while Simon Garth is at work, and by the way, while he's at work, he's a jerk there too. You know?
You're work obsessed. Yeah, you gotta be.
They're having this board meeting, and this guy stands up and he's like, hey, the numbers aren't looking good here, fella. We got to do something about this. And he's showing him these reports. Simon Garth just grabs him by the face and throws him down. It's like, what? You can't do that in a business meeting. You know, that's not how things work. It's civilized.
Hey, it was
society.
the 70s. You could do that kind of thing.
But this Simon Garth, he's a real creep. But someone at the company really likes him. I think it's his personal secretary, Layla, I believe is her name. Yeah, Layla.
Okay.
So remember her. She comes into play here in a second. But all right, now cutting back to his home life there. While he's at work, his foxy daughter, she decides she's going to skinny dip in the pool. You know?
Uh-oh. Now all that gardener's there, I hope.
There you go. So she gets up on the diving board there all naked and everything. Of course, they can show partial nudity. So her hair is discreetly covering her nipples. But she dives off into the swimming pool. And she's swimming, then she comes out of the pool all naked and whatnot, and she covers up with a towel, and she's going to go in the house, and there there's Gyps, the gardener. He's watching her the whole time, and he's like, hey, little lady, thanks for putting on a show there for me, you know? And she's like, what, you were watching the whole time? And he's like, you know what you were doing, you know? You knew I was watching. You were doing that just for old Gyps. So why don't you come here, baby? You know, and he's trying to, get rough with her. And that's right when Simon Garth comes home, and he punches Gyps in the face. And he says, boom, get out of here, Gyps, you're fired. And then he yells at his daughter for being a dirty whore. You know? Get in the house, you 23-year-old woman. I'm not going to deal with this. So she goes in the house all mad. And Gyps, he's all mad too now. He just got fired. So Gyps
it sounds like he had it coming. He was getting all handsy. So
he did have it coming.
Yeah.
So Gyps, he's hiding in wait for Simon Garth. So later that evening, Simon Garth comes out in a little tuxedo. He's getting ready to go to a fancy dinner party, like one of them 1%ers do. But to Garth's credit, he drives himself. So that's nice.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't have a chauffeur.
Maybe Gyps was also his butler or his chauffeur.
Possibly. So when he walks out of the house there, Gyps comes up from behind him and cracks him over the head like a whiskey bottle, knocks him unconscious. So then Gyps kidnaps him. And this Gyps, he likes to hang out with the voodoo cult. That's what Gyps likes to do.
Yeah, we'll see more of them this issue.
He likes the voodoos. So he takes Simon Garth to the voodoo cult, and he says, hey, you know what? You've been looking for a human sacrifice. Here he is. So they tie up Simon Garth, and they're going to sacrifice him in one of their voodoo rituals. But the priestess of this voodoo cult is none other than Layla, Simon Garth's secretary.
Oh, no.
She's a voodoo priestess for some reason. Now, even though...
Very small town, New Orleans, apparently.
Even though Simon Garth has been depicted as a complete jerk, to be around, Layla's in love with him for some reason. And, he's like 50, she's like, or 20s or whatever, but she's in love with him. So she doesn't sacrifice him. Right when she recognizes him, she's, oh, no. So instead of stabbing him in the chest, she cuts his ropes and tells him, get out of here, run, run, run. So he goes running through like the swamps that are the bayou. But when you know it, that Gyps catches up to him and stabs him right in the chest.
Oh, he almost got away with it.
And he kills him. Yeah, because earlier when he was pruning the shrubs, old Gyps there, Simon Garth said, you better sharpen those and trim those shrubs right. So then when he stabs him, he's like, I sure am glad I sharpened my shears, and boom, stabs him.
Oh, ironic.
Yep. So Simon Garth is dead. He died at the hand of Gyps. And Gyps buries him, And then so later that night, him and the voodoo buddies are sitting around there, and they're boozing it up. And Gyps says, you know what? I killed him too easy. He should have suffered. You know what? Let's go dig him up. I want to resurrect him. Hey, Layla, you're a voodoo priestess. I want you to turn him into a zombie, raise him up just so I can kill him some more. So Layla's like, I don't...
He doesn't understand what being a zombie entails, where you can't really kill him, apparently.
So Layla's like, I don't know if I should do it, but he makes her do it. So she resurrects Simon Garth as a zombie, and even though he's only been in the ground for like an hour or two, when he comes out, he's like zombified. He looks like a zombie.
Yeah. He decayed real quick.
Yeah, and he starts fighting them off and stuff. But one of the voodoo guys puts an amulet around his neck, and then they have another special voodoo amulet. So it's like the matching twin of it, and whoever holds that amulet can control Simon Garth. Like he has no will of his own. Whatever that person who has the amulet says, he has to do. So Gyps gets the amulet, and Gyps is bossing him around. This is all in the issue 1 of Tales of the Zombie, but it's divided up into a couple stories. So you got to read a few. So then in the second story there, Gyps says, hey, zombie, you know what I want you to do? Go get your daughter and bring her back here.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I want to see your daughter again. So the zombie
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, so the zombie goes to the house. But even though he's a zombie and he has no will of his own, he sneaks in the house. He sees his daughter, and it snaps him out of it. And he's like, no, I can't kidnap my daughter. So he goes back to the swamp there. And even though Gyp, he has the amulet, doesn't matter. The zombie kills him anyway. The zombie just kills him.
Oh, okay. So he's got selective free will, apparently.
It seems. But then, he still does some horrific things in this issue that we're reading.
Yeah. He didn't stop him here. He didn't care that much about this other guy.
Yeah, I guess only when the daughter's involved. So now Layla, the priestess, who, still loves him or whatever, her and her father, what's his name? Papa Doc Cable. He's another voodoo guy, I guess. All these voodoo guys have Papa in their name.
So that means Papa Smurf must have been into some dark shit.
Yeah, probably. And it was Smurfette was his priestess. Yeah. But Layla and her father, Papa Doc Cable, they try to help Garth find a peace, a final resting place, I guess is a good way to say it. They want him to know peace, and so they're always trying to bury him. But he keeps resurrecting. Because this amulet, just bounces around, through circumstance and coincidence. Different people end up with this amulet.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to tell a story, I guess,
yes.
Where your character really doesn't have any kind of will or personality of his own anymore. It's just whoever gets this amulet, is going to control the story, and they're really... it's kind of like the Whistler, where it's like the Whistler's around, but he doesn't do anything. He's not part of the story.
The Whistler is a reference to an old radio show that I got Jank to listen to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, because in those first few issues, I read through a few of them, and different people end up with the amulet, and then things happen, so someone else gets it, and the zombie keeps popping up. But so that's
just some mundane one. There's an issue where just some shop owner finds it and hires him to clean out the basement or something, and just him sweeping the entire issue. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting way to tell the story. What's not a good thing is that they made this Garth fella a jerk. I don't care about him, they should have made him a nice guy who ends up like this.
Well, I guess if your whole thing is he's not going to ever be free of this, he is dead, he's just going to be an uncaring, unfeeling thing forever, then I guess who cares? They don't want you to feel too bad for him.
But you have to have an emotional attachment there,
oh, yeah, you don't want to depress the audience, I guess.
Yeah, you want your hero to be someone you want to be rooting for the zombie. When the zombie comes out, I was like, that guy's a jerk anyway. Who cares what happens to him, I don't know. Seems like a poor decision.
That kind of decision always seems to rub you the wrong way. Peacemaker and all those kind of things. Where do some weird stuff with the backstory, and they're like, "Oh, how can I root for this guy?"
Yeah. So there you go. That's the backstory for old Simon Garth in Tales of the Zombie. What do you think, Jack? That's a pretty harrowing story, right? Oh,
yeah, that's some good stuff. Did he ever, evolve any? Did they ever cure him of his zombiness, or
no?
Did he ever gain kind of free will? Okay.
By the end of issue 9, the reason he wasn't in issue 10 was because at the end of issue 9, he found his final resting place, and he just peacefully.
Well, apparently not till.
Someone resurrected him there in Bizarre Adventures. But there you go. But it is a nice, clever idea, I think, with the amulet and everything. So, because he keeps trying to just bury himself, even in this issue. Well, you know what? Let's just get to the issue because it starts out with, I think, a very similar thing happening at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's look at the cover, Jank. Why don't you describe it for us?
All right, pretty good cover. It's very magazine-esque. The Curtis C over there in the corner box. And we got the zombie there kind of holding or I guess he's reading a Marvel Monster Group magazine. It kind of looks like he's squashing it, but no, I think he's actually reading it.
Yeah, he's just reading it.
Yeah. And it says, "He lives, he strikes, no grave can hold him, Tales of the Zombie." This is photos and features of the dreaded Walking Dead.
And the zombie font, it's like yellow letters outlined in black and then outlined in red, so it's really eye-catching.
Yeah, it's really shaky, and it's pretty cool. I like it. And that Walking Dead, the way they did that, kind of looks a lot like they did on the comic book The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's quite a coincidence.
Very similar font. Then we also have a bonus, Brother Voodoo lives again, so that's good. I know you're happy about that.
I love Brother Voodoo.
And we got a shot here, a very kind of painted shot of Simon Garth rising out of his grave and grabbing onto some good-looking lady's arm, and she's dropping her flashlight, and her boyfriend just kind of taking off, "Yep, I'm out of here," and sign up for zombies.
You know what? I don't want to anger Simon Garth even more, but this good-looking lady, she looks like one of them dirty hippies. She's got the low-ride jeans, bell-bottoms, no shoes, no socks, barefoot, and a grave at night. That's weird. And a tank top and a bare midriff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's one of the dirty hippies.
Definitely hippie. Yep. That's why he's angry. He's got to get... He doesn't want hippies visiting.
Stay away from my daughter, you dirty hippie. And look at her boyfriend just running away. I'm guessing that's her boyfriend back there. What a jerk he is.
Kind of looks like Rick Jones. Rick Jones.
Probably. Seems like a Rick Jones kind of thing to do. And the bottom left, we get Simon Garth invades the Palace of Black Magic. And then in the bottom right, extra macabre monster-sized pinup of the zombie. So if you wanted a nice pinup of the zombie, you get that in here too.
Yep, I always bought this magazine just for the centerfold of the action.
It's quite the cover.
It's a good-looking cover. It's not a cover that takes place in this issue, but no, looks good.
It's Earl Norham is the fella who did the cover. I don't know anything about Earl Norham. Did fine work here. Fine work.
Yeah, it's very classy looking. Looks like an old pulp novel.
All right, so then when you open it up, I guess we see that pinup of the zombie, right? This black and white thing. Is this the pinup?
I guess so.
You'd have to take the rest of the book out. You have to take the staples out, and pull the pages out, and then hang it up on your wall, I guess. So it's like the inside of the cover.
They got a sexy lady on there, so they're trying. They're like, this is a pinup after all. We got to put a good looking lady.
Yeah, that's the lady in this issue who they're going to sacrifice, right?
Yeah, Lois, I think her name was.
Lois.
Well, I guess they're not really sacrificing her. I wasn't sure what they were doing there, but they're like, no, she's not going to die.
She's the living altar. She's the living altar.
Yeah.
The sacrifice or the blood ritual is going to be performed on her body. She's the living altar. Who was Lois again? I can't remember.
She is the mistress of the one guy who's working for Papa Shorty.
Yes, that's right.
It turns out there's a secret connection to somebody else in this book as well. We'll find out later on.
Yeah. So, all right, now we open it up some more, and we get the big contents page. Stanley Presents Tales of the Zombie. Roy Thomas, editor. Marv Wolfman, associate editor, and all the other involved parties. Mm-hmm. And we get this is an interesting image because you get like a pencil drawing of the zombie's face real big, and then you get like a photo of a zombie guy from a movie, I guess. A priestess.
Yeah, sure looks like it. And then I guess that's a drawing of some woman in like a shroud.
Yeah, I think so. Stuff to tell. But it's all black and white. Like a lot of background's black, ink's white. Mm-hmm. And how many pages is it? This goes a good 60-some pages, right? Yeah.
All total, yeah. Just doing that zombie story.
Yeah, just the zombie story. And yeah, because they have like males to the zombie, the white zombie, like who walks with a zombie, with the death comes dawn, voodoo war, death's bleak birth. Some of these are like prose pieces that are written about zombies, like they look back at old movies with zombies in them, I guess, and stuff. And then some are like
about Rob Zombie, even though he's probably like
no.
Hasn't done anything.
There's never Rob Zombie in this. But then there's standalone little stories involving black magic and zombie. The Brother Voodoo thing is just like I think a 2 or 3 page article about that Brother Voodoo will be coming back. And
stay tuned for that issue 10, and then it'll be canceled.
Actually, next issue he's in a backup story. So
okay.
Yeah, they put Brother Voodoo backup stories, and then in issue 10 he takes the main lead though, like the main story. The next page we get a weird picture of a zombie, I guess, from a movie. And
yeah, sure, looks like it. Wearing a nice suit that's all decomposed. There's a little poem.
Yeah, would you like to read the little poem?
An eye for an eye, a life for a life. Vengeance or sacrifice. Destroy an eye for the one you have had destroyed, or surrender one that another may see. The supreme sacrifice to return from death's clammy grasp, that you may sacrifice your life a second time, that another might live in your place.
Oh, look at that, a zombie doing good things.
Yeah. Simon Garth wouldn't do good things.
No.
He's a jerk.
Especially those dirty hippies. Take them apart. All right, so now we finally get to the book, and we see Simon Garth. It's a big splash page of him standing in front of like a grave that's been dug in the ground, and there's a fella next to him who kind of looks like him, and I was confused. When I was just like flipping through the book, getting the pictures for the YouTube video stuff, I thought this guy was the zombie. He looks very much like the zombie, even though he's a human. It's like,
yeah, he's just kind of drunk, I think, and he's kind of gotten kind of gaunt, so he's very,
and he's old looking, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got a foxy wife, though. That's his wife, right? Lois, yeah.
Lois, we find out later on that's his wife that left him.
Yeah, I forgot until.
This guy's got a terrible life. I can see why he's letting himself go to shit. Like, his life is pretty awful.
His foxy wife is a voodoo priestess lady, and yeah, things are falling apart.
Yep. Not going well for Phil Bliss here.
Phil Bliss. Yeah, Philip Bliss is that guy's name. Palace of Black Magic, again by Steve Gerber and Pablo Marcos. And what is old Phil Bliss? He's trying to help out our buddy Simon Garth, right?
Yeah, he's like, well, the zombie did me a favor, I guess, last issue or whatever, so I'm going to do him a solid by giving him the only gift I can, the gift of a nice long rest. So I dug him this grave. I'm going to tell you to just go in the grave and, have yourself a sleep. You're done.
Yeah, he buries him there, and he covers him up in dirt, and he pounds it down. And he's like, this one panel, we get a shot from the zombie's eyes. Look at that. Looking up at him. Yeah. And there's like cobwebs and stuff behind his eyes, I guess. But
again, he was dead for hours.
Yes. But old Philip Bliss, he buries him. He pats down the ground there, and he's like, a lot of people might envy you that, Mr. Zombie. No feelings, no pain. I could sing a few bars of that. I'll tell you that one, Phil Bliss. So he gets in the car, and he's driving back to the city, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go to my favorite coffee shop, Savor It. It's a sandwich shop. And he's going to...
If he really, I guess, wanted to do Simon Garth a favor here, he would have buried the amulet with him so that nobody else could use it.
Yeah, that is true.
That.
I guess he wanted to keep it in his pocket, just in case he needed the zombie again.
Yeah. You never know when a zombie might come in handy.
It's going to take the zombie a while to walk from his gravesite to wherever you are, though. That's going to be a problem. He goes to the coffee shop, and he gives the car keys back to a guy he borrowed his. Man, I don't know if I'd trust this guy with my car. If I'd loaned old Philip Bliss my car.
No. He's probably 3 sheets to the wind at any moment of the day, so yeah.
but these college fellas, I guess, right? College fellas,
Yeah.
And
They
Philip
are
says,
way into this Philip Bliss guy.
yeah,
And want to know everything about his life.
they're fascinated by this old drunk. But he's like, you know what? I got no thanks, fellas. I gotta go. I got a lot of thinking to do. I'm gonna restart my life today or whatever. And he's like, hey, Jimmy or whatever. Gene. His name's Gene. Hey, Gene.
Gene.
Baby Gene, if you can tear yourself away from that pinball machine, I think we should follow Phil. We'll finally be able to find out where he lives.
Yeah. Again, why do you care so much?
It's probably under a bridge. Why are you so worried? But they follow Philip, and he lives at a boarding house. He's going up to the steps to the front door of the boarding house, and he gets jumped by 3 dudes with pantyhose over their head. That's always alarming.
The old pantyhose gang.
And they're beating him up there on the ground. They're like, hey, we're not going to kill you there, old man, or whatever. Just stay there. We're looking for something.
He's like, I don't have any money.
They're rummaging through his pockets. But his college buddies come up to try and save the day. Those kids that were following him, and they just get dominated by these pantyhose gang guys.
Well, they know Kung Fu, and then they correct them. Oh, no, it's not Kung Fu. It's karate.
That's right.
Don't give us too much credit.
Steve, look out. They know Kung Fu. Karate, chum. Just karate. And they take him out.
Just plain old karate.
And then they take the amulet from old Phil Bliss there. But while the amulet is still on Phil's chest, he says, come to me, come to me. And that's all it takes. The zombie starts waking up, and he rises out of the ground. And this zombie's got to be pissed. He's like, I just lied down.
It's been half an hour.
So the zombie starts his slow walk back towards civilization. And we see the Pantyhouse gang. They go to this club down in the they're in New Orleans. What do they call that down there? They drink?
Bourbon Street.
Yeah, there you go. And they got to go see Mr. Six. He's the guy that owns this club. And
they just go. They're just like to go through the front door. That seems like a good idea when you're here for criminal reasons.
Yeah, they're all dressed in black.
They're trying to be like, hey, whoa, you're not dressed for this. They're like, we're an evil gang that's working for your boss, so you should let us in.
And he's like, oh yeah,
you mentioned them. You mentioned you guys would be coming.
I didn't recognize you. I thought your pantyhose on your head. Go right in. Yeah, so they go through the club, and you see some ladies dancing and everything. And they go back to see Mr. Six. And how do you feel about this Mr. Six guy? Because, I don't know, he's got a mustache. He's got some crazy hair and eyebrows. And he wears a polka dot bow tie.
Yeah.
It's
almost like Count Nefaria, but like the Kmart version, I guess. Much less intimidating.
But these guys, he's like, all right, give me that amulet there, and I'll give you your money, And they say, that's $150,000, Mr. Six, and we ain't giving you nothing till we get it in cash. And he says, oh, I see, very well then, because he's going to write him a check.
I'll mail you a check. They're like, whoa.
For $150,000 in 1974.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, well, you know what, though, yeah, we'll make payment. And he pushes a button, and this the fireplace lifts up, and we get 3 dudes standing back there, and these guys have unique wardrobe choices. How would you describe the little outfits they're wearing?
I mean, between the bald heads and the outfits, they look like Moondragon. They're dudes.
Yeah, not a foxy bald-headed lady. 3 dudes dressed like Moondragon, kind of, and they got guns. And they say, hey, this is your payment. And they just murder those dudes.
Yeah.
Get them down. Sounds
odd part of this was they made sure that these 3 hoodlums with the pantyhose mask would not kill Phil Bliss. They're like, don't kill him. Whatever you do, you leave him alive. But then he just murders these 3. So it's not like he has a problem with killing.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe the problem was they didn't want to bring any undue attention to themselves by killing him, because then there'd be a police investigation, But if they just rough him up, take the amulet, I doubt Phil Bliss is going to press charges, but easy going to. But if there is a dead body, that could, complicate things. But no one's going to be investigating these punks getting murdered. They're going to destroy the bodies. They're going to do something, maybe, Because they're like, hey, maybe Papa will want the bodies. And they're like, nah, this one's got a hole in its face. He's not going to want the bodies. And they're like, all right, just put them in the furnace. We'll just burn them up. Ain't no problem.
I don't know what it seems like. If Papa's just making zombies, like, what does he care if it's got a hole in the face?
They need to be attractive zombies. They can't be.
He just can make them fight each other for his own amusement. So who cares?
Yeah. Papa Shorty runs an underground zombie fighting club. So Mr. Six, he's looking at the little amulet there, and he's like, I got my amulet. So that means I can control that zombie. And now we cut back to Philip Bliss and his two college buddies. And Philip Bliss is trying to tell him, hey, I got this zombie friend, and I control him with that amulet. And they stole the amulet. And the college kid's, all right, Phil, I think you've been drinking a wee bit too much, talking about zombies and everything. Why don't we just go back to the old coffee shop and talk it over? And he's like, all right. So they walk back to the coffee shop.
They have liquor, then I'm there.
And now, Jank, we cut over and we see the zombie just calmly walking through traffic. It's just all driving by. No one seems to notice that there's a zombie walking down the street.
I like that they make the zombie apparently has a lot of inner commentary about the world. Then they move more slow, because he calls the cars mobility machines.
Yeah.
He moves from the massive mobility machines that race endlessly past you.
Yeah, like Steve Gerber, he's narrating all this, the narrator, and like the zombie has no mind, basically. He's just a clean slate, really. He's just empty space up there, all oatmeal north of the eyebrows. So he's just walking through the world, doing the bidding of whoever has the amulet. So yeah, like he's like a caveman almost, mobility machines and all that. Like, I have no idea. Your modern inventions frighten me. Yeah, unfrozen caveman lawyer. That's a throwback.
Exactly. Right. Yep. Exactly what I was thinking.
But as he's walking, Jank, he notices Garwood Industries, maker of Garth Manor Coffee.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sure does. Yeah, it catches his attention.
It's his old business.
Yeah.
So what does he do?
I wonder if that foxy secretary is still there. I'm going to go check it out. So he jumps over the fence, which apparently is electrified. Yeah. Very secure coffee place. So that shocks the crap out of him, and he falls down. But I guess he makes it all the way over and falls down on the other side, so that's good for him. And he just breaks in through a window, and the alarms start going off, and he just keeps on walking right up to his old office and has himself a nice sit in his old chair. Just, I guess, working off muscle memory at this point.
Sitting behind the desk. Remember in the old days when he used to run Manor Coffee, and he sees a picture of his wife and daughter there? Again, through the zombie eye perspective shot. And then he gets mad. Your business, your family, or your soul, and more. You are not certain any of it matters. And he knocks things off his desk. But then the security comes up. And they're like, hey, freeze there, buddy. What do you think you're doing? And they get a good look at his face, like, holy hell, it's a zombie. Oh, my goodness. And he tries to take it easy on him. Again, the narrator says, they're just doing their job, so you don't want to kill them or anything. But,
it's like, I hired them to do these jobs. I can't really be mad at them. So he must have some, I guess.
He must have some thought.
Yeah.
So he flips him over and, like judo throws him over his shoulder, and then he just walks right out the window. Even though they're like, 6 stories high or whatever. He just goes right through the window and crashes down to the ground. And they're all like, holy hell, that guy just walked out the window. Yeah, but he just stands up because he's a zombie. He just stands right back up. Now, an interesting thing.
Shoot him, and like the bullets keep going through him, and none of that's hurting him either. He's just walking on.
Yeah, an interesting thing here, though, is he says, and shoot they do, and their bullets rip through your yellowed flesh, tearing wide massive gashes in your once vital organs. So what? It is part of your curse that these wounds, which do not pain you anyway, will heal, along with whatever bones were splintered or crushed in your fall. For now that you are dead, you cannot be killed again. Yet his body can still regenerate and heal.
Yeah. That is kind of weird. Why would that be part of it? I guess that's probably part of the magic that's keeping him alive, I would think. But yeah, they act like, oh, that's a normal thing. Like, of course, if you're dead, you can't be killed again. But
well, why doesn't it, heal some of that yellowing skin and decaying flesh? Heal some of that.
Yeah,
but apparently not. Can't do that. So now we see Mr. Six, and he has a chauffeur with him, his buddy Robert. He takes Robert with him to the Black Magic Club, and it seems like it's a condemned warehouse or something. But no. It's a secret club. And they open it up, and he says, and now, Robert, behold, And what does Robert
Holy
say?
crud! An orgy!
Holy crud. An orgy. But Mr.
We
Six
had
is
a
like...
Flea award for best line. That might be the front runner right now. Holy crud, an orgy.
But then Mr. Six says, not an orgy, Robert, but a gathering place for the men and women who will soon control New Orleans. And meanwhile, we get this big full-page shot. It's an orgy. There are, there are dudes with Papa ladies. There are like scantily clad ladies dancing and everything. And yeah, I've been to a few orgies in my time. This is an orgy, let me tell you. This is what it looks like.
This isn't an orgy. I don't know what an orgy is.
There's like a giant snake statue in the middle of the room. There's open fire pits burning everywhere. Oh, look, I think the snake is actually a water fountain, too. Look at that. He's like spitting in that little pond.
This is almost like a He-Man playset, but there's an orgy going on.
Yeah. And so then we meet Papa Shorty. He's the main guy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because old Mr. Six says, this is a voodoo elite of the city. It's avant-garde. This is Papa Shorty's Palace of Black Magic. And I am Papa. Pleased to meet you, Robert. Now,
very weird picture of Papa here. He kind of looks like Robot Man from Doom Patrol in that first shot.
Papa Shorty, he's, how would you describe Papa Shorty? Maybe like, a little like George Jefferson in a robe, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of see that.
With their haircut. Yeah, he's bald on top, just hair on the sides. And he seems real happy there. And Mr. Six gives him the amulet. And he's like, sweet. Oh, Loa be praised. Yeah, Loa is some sort of voodoo god or whatever. But I think that was what they used to call zombies. Like Loans or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something along those lines. When they couldn't say zombie. Anyway. So he's all happy he's got this amulet. And the fires start burning and everything. And Robert, the chauffeur, he's like, boss, I don't like it. He's really serious about this voodoo stuff. And he thinks you are too. Papa Shorty says, and he is, Robert. Voodoo is his life, isn't it, Six? Eh, yes? And he says, of course, Papa Shorty. And now, Jank, Papa Shorty wants to show this chauffeur that voodoo's the real deal, you know? So what does he do?
Yeah. The only way to do that is take her clothes off and show him your package. Your little underpants that you're wearing.
There's something more significant than just his little underpants. What's the more significant thing?
He is also missing his legs. He just kind of has little nubs that stop way below before the knee. Just little kind of nub legs. But he's been standing this entire time. Yeah. So he's got like invisible, you know, like Lieutenant Dan legs, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But yeah, he's just hovering. He's just hovering around everywhere he goes. And Robert, the chauffeur, is like, what the what? How does this guy, he doesn't have legs. He's floating in the air.
I think it's not like hovering, though, because I think he would move faster. Like, wouldn't he be able to fly after that butler faster if he was actually just, like, hovering? I think he does have just magic, like, invisible legs or something.
I think
he can only run normal speed.
Well, you know, hovering's hard work. You know, it's not just easy to hover. That takes a lot of work, a lot of concentration. So, but yeah, little Papa Shorty there. That's why they call him Papa Shorty, because he has no legs. And he's like, suppose we demonstrate one of our little rituals for you, eh? Then you may decide if you wish to join us, gentlemen. The sacrifice, eh? Well, I don't know. He's Canadian too, I guess. He always says eh at the end of everything.
He really does.
So now they bring out Lois, who we learned is Philip Bliss's wife, who left him or whatever, and she's the mistress of Mr. Six, this corrupt gambling guy or whatever. So, but she is super foxy, and she is in this outfit that is, how would you do? It's kind of almost like the Goblin
Vampirella.
Oh yeah, Vampirella. Yeah, Vampirella would probably be a better one. Yeah, it basically is Vampirella's outfit, right?
Yeah,
when you think about
it. Very close. Yeah.
And she's got some beads on her and stuff too. And so they're like, "Oh, you're good, boss. It's Lois, your mistress. You got to stop him."
Yeah, I mean, you got to save her.
They called her a
He's
sacrifice.
like, whatever.
He's gonna kill her. And he's like, nah, don't worry. She's too hot to murder. She's just gonna be the living altar. The blood ritual will be performed on her body. So she gets back to the altar and she like bends backwards, and so her back's on the altar and her bosom is up in the air, but her feet are still on the ground, you know? So she's very flexible, this Lois.
Yeah.
And what does Papa Shorty do though? How does he perform the ritual, Jack?
He takes a chicken and he holds it up by the neck and just kind of like snaps the neck and like wrings the blood out of it like a sponge, like a dirty
rips
rag.
the head right off. He rips it right off. Papa Shorty, and he just pours the blood all over Lois.
Yeah.
And that's enough for Robert the chauffeur. He's like, all right, I'm out. This is too much.
This is weird. This guy's a lunatic.
Yeah, Mr. Six
for a crook, but not a lunatic.
Mr. Six brought him to the club because he wanted Robert to join.
Yeah.
And Robert's like, no, thank you. I am out of here. But he goes, and he's chasing him. Yeah, look at the old Papa Shorty hovering around the corner there without his legs. And Mr. Six is chasing him. But they're like, we can't let him escape here, you know? If he's not going to be one of us, we can't let him telling other people about our club. So he's either join us or he dies, all right? So
just like, we can just give him time. He'll get used to it. He really wants Robert in this thing.
So Robert's almost getting away, you know? He's like, and that old weirdo can't float as fast as I can run. So if I can get around this corner. But when he turns the corner, Jake, he runs right into our buddy Simon Garth. He's
finally showed up to the party.
Yep. And he's like, oh man, there's a old zombie here. And Robert's scared of the zombie. And Papa Shorty says, hey, I'm in business now. There's the zombie. I got the amulet. Hey, zombie, kill that guy. and what does old Simon Garth do? He probably shakes his hand, tells him to go how to get out of the place, you know, run to freedom. Well, I take care of these bad guys. That's probably what he does, right?
Yeah, I mean, he does something similar. He shakes him by the foot and shakes him right into a wall at first.
It shatters his head. Yeah, so, yeah, the zombie, our hero of the story, shows up and murders this guy. That's just... Oh.
Yeah, again, he's got no will of his own, so whatever the amulet owner tells him, he's got to do, so, yeah. What a character.
So now we cut back to the coffee shop, and Philip Bliss is telling all the college kids and the waitress there, the owner of the place, all about the zombies and his history and how Lois became a zombie priestess. Man, this Lois, she is something. And then he's like, my life, my marriage, everything fell apart. Was he a lawyer or is he just in court there at the divorce?
I think that was to get a divorce, like, cause Mr. Six got a fancy lawyer for his wife. So he got wrecked in the divorce, I guess. And that's, I think, why he got the zombie and sent it to the courthouse was because of that.
Oh, that's right. There was a big thing with the zombie showing up at courthouse. They reference it. It wasn't in this issue, but they reference
I think that was the prior issue.
Because when he's trying to convince the college kids about the zombies, like, you heard about that zombie that showed up at the courthouse, right? That's my guy. That's my guy.
Like, you said last week that wasn't you. They're like, yeah, well, now it is.
So they're going to go down to because I guess, does he know that Lois is at this club, I guess? So, yeah, he's going to take the college kids down there and they're going to try and, well, they don't know the zombies there. They're just trying to
I'm going to prove it to you, like that there's creepy shit going on down there, so.
Yeah, and he probably figures they're the ones that stole the amulet, so maybe let's try and go back and get that amulet back, and Lois is probably there. We can see her in that little outfit. Let's go.
Yeah.
So,
now, do you think I'm making it up? Then come with me. Help me save that dead guy. You'll see. Honest.
Cut back to the Black Magic Club, and there's more rituals going on and everything, and Lois is dancing around the zombie, and Papa Shorty is causing the flames to rise up and everything, and he's yelling and screaming, and he's like, all right, now it's time for zombie fight club, and the chauffeur, Robert the chauffeur, is now a zombie.
Who has more than a hole in his head, and Papa Shorty was just fine with it, so I feel like he could have taken those guys earlier.
So Papa Shorty's like, all right, Simon Garth zombie, you fight Robert chauffeur zombie, make it good. And so they start duking it out. It's not really much of a fight, though.
No, it's the quickest fight I've ever seen in my life. It's even quicker than that fight where Shane McMahon blew out his ankle, whatever that one was.
Yeah, was it his quad like his dad? I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, Simon Garth just grabs Robert by the shoulder, shakes him, picks him up above his head, and throws him into a pit of fire. Like this chalice full of fire. And or cauldron probably would be a better word. So Robert just bursts into flames. All the voodoo people are dancing like, all right, Simon Garth, you did it. And look at that Lois dancing. And now the college kids show up and they bust their way in. And they're like, holy hell, it's an orgy. Philip sees his Lois there. And he's like, hey, that's does she have the amulet or whatever? and he's going after Lois, trying to get her back, and he grabs her by the wrist. No, Papa Shorty still has the amulet, and he's like, "Zombie, kill that man." And now Zombie is going to recognize his buddy Philip Bliss, the guy who he'd been working with earlier at the courthouse,
Yep.
and then the guy who buried him.
Put him down, gave him a nice sleep. Yep. Dug him a nice grave.
So surely, Jank, he's going to recognize him, and they're going to team up, and they're going to bring down this voodoo cult, right? That's what happens, right?
Yep, that's exactly what happens. Except no, he does like a hammer punch down on top of his head and just smashes his head, killing him in one blow. Phil dies at your hand.
Yeah, he just kills his buddy Philip Bliss. Yeah, he drives him like a railroad stake right into the ground. Bang, shatters his skull. Like, man.
Yep. This guy came all this way just to save him, and nope, done.
This is our hero, this zombie guy.
They made such a point of not killing him earlier when those pantyhose guys were after him. Like, we got to keep this guy alive, but only for like another couple more pages, and he's going to die at the hands of his buddy.
And like I said, I was flipping through other issues. There's one issue where he murders a dog. Zombies, tough to feel for.
Zombies only as good as his master.
So Papa Shorty's like, "Hey, zombie, I got you now, buddy. I got you under my control." But then he drops the amulet, Butterfingers.
This is where, I was like, oh, this must be a multi-part story because there's only one page left.
Yeah,
clearly they can't resolve all this in one issue.
So in the first panel, we see Papa Shorty with the amulet, being all excited. He thought a zombie capable of loyalty, of emotion, and he's laughing at him, But then he drops the amulet. Since he's no longer in possession of it, Simon Garth is free.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Simon Garth do, Jack?
Well, he's not happy that this guy made him kill, his buddy Phil Bliss. So he just kind of picks him up by his leg nubs and throws him into that snake statue. Head first, just kind of decapitating him, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like his head explodes.
Yeah. And then he takes the big thing of burning coals and fire and just tosses it, starting the whole place on fire, and everybody, I guess, runs.
Yeah, and he just walks out.
Walks away. Yeah. He's just like, all right, I'm done.
This is all in one page. This all happens in the final page. And
very quick resolution there.
And the final narration thing is, soon no living being remains on the scene, only the flaming corpses of Phil and Papa. And you, the corpse that walks away, the zombie. There it is.
Corpse that walks away.
How about that? So there you go. That's pretty good there. Zombie.
Yeah.
I was entertained. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I got no beefs. It was full of just merciless killing by our heroes. So, I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, just to recap, because, earlier on I gave a lot of backstory. So just this issue was just him waking up with his buddy Phil Bliss, or Phil Bliss putting him into the ground. That's how this issue begins. Then we get the orgy. Then we get Simon Garth killing that chauffeur guy, slamming him into the wall. Then we get a zombie fight. Oh, we also get a blood ritual performed on Lois's body. We get a chicken's head ripped off in that blood ritual. We get the zombie
Papa
fight.
Shorty basically gets the same treatment later on.
Yeah, we get Papa Shorty. Hey, I'm just going to put it out there, Golden K or the Flea Award, best villain, Papa Shorty. He's going to be in there. This guy's great.
It's a pretty good name, yeah.
Man. So then we get Papa Shorty gets his head exploded. We get Philip, the guy who we meet at the beginning, who we kind of like, we kind of feel for. This poor guy's life's falling apart. And Zombie just murders him. So
this guy was like, I got to go home and figure out how I'm going to restart my life from scratch. This is going to be great. This is the day it all changed. And then dead.
Zombie killed him. And then Zombie sets the place on fire, and then Zombie walks away. That's pretty good. I was very entertained by this.
I can't really say anything against that. No, that's pretty good logic.
And again, we get narration, the whole time with Steve Gerber and everything. So I don't know, man. What's not to like? It's pretty great.
Yeah. The art I thought was pretty solid too, for the most part.
Yeah, well, you mentioned you didn't know much about Pablo Marcos, so let's learn about Pablo Marcos, the artist here. He was born in Peru in 1937. He's still alive. He's 86. Still kicking.
Right.
And he was a comic book artist and commercial illustrator known as Peru's most famous cartoonist. He did a James Bond 007 comic strip for a Peruvian newspaper that was very popular. And then he moved to New Jersey in the 1970s and started doing black and white horror stories in the Warren Publishing anthologies Creepy and Eerie. Then he moved over to Marvel and started doing covers for Marvel UK titles like Captain Britain and Planet of the Apes. And he became a cornerstone for the Marvel black and white horror magazines that we talked about earlier. Vampire Tales, Monsters Unleashed, Dracula Lives. Like, he did all of them. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, his style seems very suited for that.
His first U.S. color comics work was the cover of Giant Size Dracula 2 in 1974. And his first color interior art was for Iron Jaw 3, 1975, published by Atlas Seaboard Comics. I've never heard of Atlas Seaboard Comics.
No.
We might have to dig those up.
Title, yeah.
Yeah, Iron Jaw.
Iron Jaw.
Sounds like Trap Jaw from Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. It's like Iron Fist, but he just does it in his jaw.
His jaw. He focuses chi into his jaw. He started freelancing for DC and did some Man-Bat stories for Detective Comics.
Hey, all right.
Our buddy Man-Bat. He also worked on such stories as Freedom Fighters, Commandy. Wasn't Commandy that Jack Kirby thing that he started? Wasn't that him?
Yeah. Yeah, you and Miguel did that, right?
No, we didn't do it, but we've talked about it, I think, before.
Yeah,
The Secret Society of Supervillains and Teen Titans. Spoiler alert, I think we're going to be picking a Secret Society of Supervillains book soon.
Oh.
That sounds pretty awesome. I didn't even know that series existed. And then when I found it, it's basically just like the Legion of Doom, all those villains, they get together and do things.
Like have parties?
Yeah. Then he returned to Marvel and drew 9 issues of Savage Sword of Conan. And then he inked John Buscema's work on Conan the Barbarian, Savage Sword of Conan, and the Conan comic strip. He also had a lengthy run on DC's Star Trek The Next Generation series in the late 80s, early 90s. He did about 25 issues of that. All told at Marvel, he had 31 penciling credits, 158 inking credits, and 36 cover credits. At DC, he had 61 penciling credits, 298 inking credits, and 25 cover credits. So, more inking than drawing at the big companies. Yeah, he did a lot of horror stuff, and he's Peru's most famous cartoonist. So how about that? Pablo Marcos.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But his style is like similar to John Buscema, I would say.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But it's classic comic book art. You know, it's like
very 70s.
Yeah. Them dirty hippies. You can draw those. So, yeah, I liked his art here. And everyone knows Steve Gerber. We've talked about him many times here on the show. Go back. He won a Flea Award for Best Writer for Howard the Duck in year 1 of Flea Market Fantasy.
Maybe doing some more Howard the Duck soon.
Ooh. Oh, I know why. Because Dr. Bong or whatever, right?
Yeah. Dr. Bong.
That'll be good. So there you go. What do you think, Jank? I mean, there's nothing really to complain about here, right? I mean,
no, I mean, it had Lois, so
Lois.
That's going to give it a pretty high score right there. So I think I might give it an 8.
Yeah, like that's a floor is an 8 here. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of wasted space or anything like that. For the most part, it told the story well. It was a weird story, but it worked. It was entertaining.
I just really like the idea that this zombie just murders people and he doesn't care. Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Smash on the head and he moves on.
Kind of like Jason Voorhees, but people can control him and make him do their business. So that's crazy.
I'm tempted to go 9. Tell you what, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call the police on you for that.
Because it's just like there's nothing wrong with it. It's really good, and I liked experiencing this zombie fella. Because like I said, I wanted to pick him a couple years back, and I forgot. And then last year I meant to do it, and we ran out of weeks in October, and so we finally get to read it, and I was impressed. I like the whole amulet angle of the thing. Like whoever has the amulet controls them.
I can see that getting old. I don't know how you go for that for a whole series, but definitely for 9 issues, I could see that lasting pretty well.
In later installments of this, he kind of teams up with that Layla, the priestess, again. and they have an adventure here together in issue 6. Because I always picked issue 6, but I picked this issue because of the cover. I like the cover better. So you could do a thing where, you know, his Rick Jones sidekick, whoever that is, Layla, whoever, they have the amulet, and then they just have adventures, you know. And then at some point,
it becomes very Hulk at that point.
Yeah, yeah. And then at some point, maybe he loses the amulet, you know, they got to get back or whatever. But yeah, you could just run it like that. But so there you go, the zombie. So 9 from me, 8 from Jank. What a Shocktober week this was.
Yeah.
For Flea Market Fantasy. All right, Jank. Next week, it's your choice. What do you got?
Ooh, yeah, this is where it gets tough because like there's so many things I want to pick and only so much time in Shocktober. But I think I'm gonna go with we're gonna go to DC and we're gonna do a 4-issue limited series from what year was this? 1986. We're gonna be doing number 2 of this 4-issue limited series, Demon. We're gonna talk about Etrigan the Demon finally.
I don't know who this is.
Oh, really? You're not familiar with this character? It's this guy Jason Blood. He turns into this big yellow demon who talks in rhymes. He's kind of like what's his name? That Dolomite. The Dolomite
well,
demon.
If he's anything like Dolomite, I love him already. But I have my doubts.
Probably not as good.
But is this his first appearance, or is like he an earlier character that gets his own series?
This is his first time getting his own series, like his own limited series, but I think he was around before then.
Never heard of him.
You know, he pops up in Batman from time to time.
I hate him already. So, all right. Demon, issue 2 from 1986, right? 86?
Yep.
So, all right. So until next week, we'll continue Shocktober. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And thanks to Jank. And until next week, don't get any jank on you.